Hey everybody, thank you so much for last week's successful video. This week I'm a bit sick, but I'll still try to put out the video. And we're gonna be looking at some farming guides in Winterspring as well as in Eastern Plaguelands. I've really been enjoying these farms lately because I'm anyway sick and can't do much, so I was just sitting there grinding for as long as I could and then I went back to bed. The first one is at Threl, which is southwest of Everlook. You get the Mature Blue Dragon Sinew dropping off the Mage Weavers, the Scalebanes and the Wormkins. The Mage Weavers have a slightly higher chance. They also have a chance of dropping the Greater Arcane Protection Potion Elixir, which at this point in the service lifetime is not super valuable anymore because you see a lot of hunters farming this. They also drop the Arcanite Dragonling and the Robe of Everlasting Winter or Night, I'm not sure. Anyway, it's a great caster robe. You can see all the recipes on your screen. So yeah, and as you can see here, actually, I'm just looting a small Thorium vein and making 100 gold because I found a blue sapphire. And as always with these videos, you want to cast a wide enough net in order to actually get something. So I suggest being here on a class that can both solo these mobs as well as has mining or even skinning on top of things, but I think the skills are not too great. You can find rich Thorium inside this cave. Now, which class can solo these? I would say almost any. A geared warrior can certainly kill the Mage Weavers. Might have trouble with the Scalebanes, as well as the Wormkin. They're both warrior classes. As you know, mobs have a specific typing. They're either casters or warriors. Any warrior hits really hard and has more armor. Casters, on the other hand, can cast spells, but they have less armor and less HP, which makes them easier to farm for melee classes. Now, full disclosure, I do practice what I preach, so I spent about an hour and a half here and I didn't get anything except a Greater Arcane Protection Potion recipe, which didn't sell for too much. I have not found the Mature Blue Dragon Sinew, but last I checked it was on auction house for 650 gold. Probably gonna go up a little bit more in the future as inflation strikes. Now we're almost through with this clip. I just want to show you guys that there's a nice loop you can do, especially as a stealth class. Once you kill all the Mage Weavers in the cave, or you kill all the mobs that you want to kill, you just have to watch out a little bit for the big ones. There's also rich Thorium spawning in the back here, and then you can get on the rune, and it teleports you up outside of the cave. So you can see these guys mess you up if you're not careful. But I made it out there, and I'm starting a new loop right there. Alright, next up we're in Dark Whisper Gorge in the south of Winterspring. We're here for the Head Rain Initiates, but if you're a caster class, you can also kill the Slayers for the Eye of Shadow. The Eye of Shadow is obviously relatively elusive. It drops with a, I think, 2% chance of the Initiates and is worth around 500 gold on Spine Shatter EU as we speak. Now, I personally prefer to be Dagger Rogue for this, as it gives me a lot of control and I can decide when I want to burst them, I can decide when I want to disengage. I start off with ambush here. You can also start with a cheap shot. What you want to do is you want to get away and sort of have them trigger their casting animation, at which point you can go in for some free hits, and definitely make sure to interrupt it though, because you don't want to get hit by the Shadow Bolt, and you for sure don't want to get hit by the Immolate. It hits for like 500 and ticks for 150 to 200. But what you can do is you can actually manipulate their AI a little bit by gouging and going on max range. You could actually get in a free shot with your crossbow even for some more damage. Right here I am opting for a different strategy. I'm trading with it quite a lot because in this clip I saw an Alliance Rogue out in Dark Whisper Gorge and I didn't want to spend 2 minutes killing that mob. I wanted it to be a bit faster, only around a minute and a half. But if you have the time and you do the kiting properly, you can do this in any gear. You can probably do this with a Grey Dagger and in, well, not in any spec I wouldn't say. I see a lot of rogues trying with a combat spec, but that's only really viable if you have your Adrenaline Rush up or full world buffs, otherwise you're gonna run into trouble. This spec right here, which is just the Dagger PvP spec, is allowing me to kill them no problem whatsoever. Again, you want to cast the wide net here. We have rich Thorium that you definitely want to be able to loot if you are out here as a rogue or any other class. There's the Initiates and the Slayers, we already mentioned this. I see a lot of Shadow Priests here, I see a lot of Warlocks farming here. And as you can see, I do practice what I preach. I was solo farming out here. There is a friend in my group, but he's miles away on the different continent, and I managed to get an Eye of Shadow. As I mentioned, I found 2 so far. This has definitely been the most successful farm in terms of money for me in the last few weeks. However, it's not my favorite farm by far. There's one which I much prefer, and that's the one that we're gonna get into now. It's Tyrs Hand in Eastern Plague Clans, an absolute classic of a farm. It's been around for the last 22 years probably. It's been known that these mobs drop a whole lot of rune cloth and also raw gold. I'm gonna make a separate video about how good this farm actually is, but right now we want to find the formula for Enchant Chest Major Mana. It has a 1.1% drop chance and it only drops off the enchanters, but this whole thing has a catch. You also need to kill the clerics as well as the warders for the enchanters to continually respawn as they share spawns. Now the enchanters are quite easy to kill as a rogue. The only thing you need to make sure of is that you're actually kicking their arcane bolt, which is a very fast cast, I think 1.5 seconds, maybe a little bit less. So you don't want to be on global cooldown as they start casting this, or you will miss it and they chain cast it. It hits for 500 to 600. I had a lot of success in this abbey building over here. You find loads of enchanters in there, fewer warders I would say in my experience, so that's where I usually spend my time. And as a little bit of a sneak peek for next video, which is going to be how bad is Tyrs Hand actually, I spent an hour here and I made 60 gold. I spent another hour here and I made around 45 gold. So it's fair to say that this is somewhere between 40 to 60 gold, depending on the drop luck that you're having. But yeah, as you can see, these guys usually spawn in packs of 2. This is a cleric and an enchanter. It could be any variation of the 3 that spawns in this pack, but you definitely want to sap one of them, burst the other, and if necessary you can even bandage. Excuse me. If necessary you can even bandage in between, but that wasn't necessary for me. And with decent gear I have a 6-piece tier 0, 1-piece tier 1, 1-piece tier 2 and Valorant swords. This is no problem. You see a lot of rogues farming here actually, which is also the reason why I should have kicked that heal by the way. Which is also the reason why you see the price of the Enchant Major Mana chest dropping heavily at this moment. It used to be 400 gold, almost Crusader levels. Right now it's just 110, but at least I found a Shadow Blade here, which you can see me selling for 33 gold. And also yesterday night I did find the recipe as I mentioned, but I didn't put it in the video yet because the video is kind of already finished. So yeah, I want to bring some more accurate numbers next time, but as a friendly reminder, this is what happens if you decide to mess with people who are just peacefully farming away. I know I'm not talking about me messing with them. These guys decided to bully me because they're 3 people, so I brought over my friend and we said hello. Needless to say, they left the lair pretty quickly after that. Enjoy, have a nice one, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.